Family Time today, powered by Together Forever Marriage Inc. Today we are talking about domestic abuse. This is our 4th episode. But before we go into the details, I want to introduce my co-host, my partner, my wife, my lover. Honey, what else are you?
Your only lady.
My only lady. I know you're going to tap into that. You're going to always repeat that.
The only lady, not the first lady, but the only lady.
Okay.
That's right. My name is Mary Victor, and viewers, you are welcome to another episode of Family Time today. Please, like I said, I always say, call your friends. If you're married, get your spouse. Get the whole family. It's all right. Have them around, sitting around the TV and watching the show. You are welcome.
So today we are talking about help. I am being abused.
Wow.
We've talked about what domestic abuse is. We've talked about how to recognize domestic abuse. We've talked about that domestic abuse happens even in the church and in our community. Now someone out there have recognized that they are being abused. So where do we go from here? So you hear things, someone calls 911 and say, hello, is that 911? Help, my husband is trying to kill me. Yes, he choked me and slammed my head to the wall. Where do we go after that call? Of course, 911 will show up. Police will show up. Maybe they take the man away, maybe not. But for you, after that call, the question is, what do we do when we know that we're being abused? What does a woman with 5 children, has a menial job, can sustain herself? Because I've seen a lot of those. A lot of women who stay because they figure they can't manage themselves alone. They need the man's income. They need the man's house. They need what the man brings to the table. But they gotta stay alive to enjoy what the man brings to the table. What do you do?
It's a very dicey situation, a very difficult situation. Again, they're in our culture. But I would say live first, L-I-V-E.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be alive to take care of your children and unable to hopefully fight for the man, or support him in whatever program that he needs to get into. But we recommend that if you find yourself in the harm's way, you need to remove yourself from the place of harm. You need to remove yourself from the place of harm. And we have a lot of help organizations.
We have the Staff Hope.
There's the Staff Hope. There's the Ladies Shelter. If it comes to that, you need to make your way out of that immediate environment. Now, you got to hear us right. We're not saying go straight to court and file a divorce. That is not what we recommend. No. Because you entered into a covenant with this man. You're still bound by covenant, and I know that I'm going to get some emails. People are not going to hear this, but that is what the Bible says. You're physically removing yourself from harm, but you're not removing yourself from the covenant.
You can't.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
Yes. The father, he beat you up. It's a very bad experience, and the whole episodes we've been sharing, we are not condoning a wife battering. We're not condoning domestic violence. But again, according to our scriptures, that is not a ground to divorce your husband or your wife. But you need to remove yourself from harm. But you're still Mrs. Jack or Mrs. John.
Definitely not Mrs. Abuser.
You're still the Mrs.
Yes.
Of the Mister. But at least you are alive, answering Mrs. You're not dead. So we don't want you to stay in the place of harm until your life is forcefully taken away from you. Find a place of safety. And then while you are in a place of safety, you can now do what you need to do.
And we recommend it's good. So we know the first thing you do, get to safety. It's like a storm that is coming. When hurricane comes,
Yes,
we live in
yes.
Houston.
Yes.
The first thing you do, they tell you to do is to get to a safe ground, evacuate. Leave Houston because the storm is coming.
Yes.
Don't stay there and say, well, when the storm comes, maybe not. So you leave the place of danger. So that's the first thing. Remember, you have to be alive to be married. If you're dead, you're not married. Run, run, run.
See, in some situations, because that has happened to some women, they remove themselves from harm's way, they move out of the house, and they move into their best friend's house. Not advisable.
Not advisable. Don't go to where he has access to. Guess what? Your best friend would encourage you to go back home. Because that's what we do. We unite families. We're about making peace. But the problem is that home is not peaceful yet. There are things that has to be set in motion before you're safe. So what do? You get out, get away. There are numbers on the screen that we'll be posting here. That's the National Family Violence Hotline. You call them, they will refer you to a shelter in your community. There's a reason why people go to shelter. People think it's only those who are homeless that go to shelter. No. People go to shelter for protection. And that's where we're going for the next thing. The next point is protect yourself. But sometimes by leaving, you make the man more angry.
Yes.
You incite him. He feels that, okay, I lost control, but they were still here at home. Now, not only have I lost control of her, I've lost physical control. She's gone. I can't reach my kids. She changed the bank account. She took our car. She made me more mad. A lot more people from statistics have died while running away than those who have died while staying. So when you run to a place where you are safe. Cut off all connections. That they shouldn't know where you are, because you're really the person you're dealing with is not the person you used to know. There's something that has happened. Somebody is very, very angry. So we need to make sure that we are safe. And in our ministry, we also encourage people to, first of all, go through your church. Go through your community. And the reason why we say that is the moment you call the police, things are out of your hands. He will be arrested. He might be prosecuted. And if you go through all that, that's not what you want. At the end of it, your family may be run down. That's not what you want. We will get to that point, but that's not the first point. First point is, if you guys belong to a church, get your pastors involved.
Yeah, that's very advisable. Yeah, that would be your very first initial step. You know, when you see the signs of this happening, you know. But honey, there's a point you get. It's gone beyond.
Oh, no. If the pastors are not managing it, you know that they are not managing it.
Right.
Because if the pastors have intervened, because we've had situations like that where we even intervened, and still things were escalating. Of course, we told the woman, look, this is your next line of action. The next time he tries this, what you need to do is to call the police. You gotta be safe. And she did. And we also called the man and said, this woman might call the police. And if she does, this is what is going to happen. You don't want this on your record. But, you know, people who go through this really are not in their senses. The man continued in that pattern. And of course, the end was that police were invited, the DA was involved, and there is prosecution, someone goes to jail. It's an unfortunate situation, but it does happen. It does happen. So there are numbers on our screen. If you're going through domestic abuse, you call those numbers and they will give you the help that you need. And there are also things that would happen there, which I want to advise us. If you are a Christian, remember the people that are helping you are not Christians. They don't share your faith. Even if they are Christians, they go by a different code of conduct. Their policies are different. So don't always... Different code of Christianity. It's not everything they tell you to do that you do. I'm going to share a story with you. When I was in law school in Minnesota, there was a friend of ours. It was obvious, very obvious, that her husband and her husband's family were maltreating her. But the first time she told me, I said, look, let's try and manage this. Let's talk to your husband. Let's manage this by ourselves. But she was a lawyer. She has that legal mind, and she knew her rights and all those things. She got police involved. And the rest was history. They gave her housing. They gave her a job. She didn't have papers then. They gave her a job. They provided daycare for her. They even helped her to get a car. They gave her all those things on one condition. On the condition that she put a protective order and restraining order on the man. So the man was not allowed to see his children. The man was not allowed to see the woman. So that effectively killed any opportunity for reconciliation. That's why you want to think twice. This should be a last resort. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but it should be a last resort. It should be the last thing that we do. So be safe. That's one. Remove yourself from harm's way. Talk to your pastors. Take whatever they tell you with a pinch of salt. At the end of the day, your goal is to save your family.
Yes.
Your goal is not that someone goes to jail. Viewers, that's all we have on this topic. I wish we have time, but we are coming back for the next, for the final episode, and we'll talk about the rest of the things that you do. Don't turn on the dial. We've been talking about domestic violence in our community. If you or anyone that you know is going through domestic violence, is a victim, or even if you are having problem controlling yourself, call this number on the screen. There is help around. Don't wait until things escalate before you call. Call this number and we'll be able to help you manage the situation. God bless you. Welcome back, viewers. We've been talking about domestic violence, domestic abuse, spousal abuse, and we've been talking about what you can do if you find yourself to be a victim. That's what we talked about in the last episode. Now, let's talk about what you can do if you're the person who is perpetrating or who is committing this domestic violence. Because let's face it, some of us really want to change.
Yeah.
We don't want the consequences that this thing brings. And I'm going to tell you, there are about 5 stories that we have here of those who have killed their wife, those who have abused their wife. I'm going to tell you also that I go to prison. I visit prison. I've been to prison on visitation as a lawyer to see my clients. I've been to prison on visitation as a chaplain to see those that I mentor. I've been to prison as a correctional officer. So I see people in prison. One thing that I know is that those who are there for domestic abuse, they regret their action. They regret it because the consequences are so many. So many, we don't want to go through all that. So what do we do to help ourselves? Honey, what does a man who beats his wife, who doesn't want to beat his wife, do? What can he do?
First of all, you need to realize, you know, that, like my husband said, as you were talking about consequences, I know I'm not a man, but if I can put myself in the shoes of a man, I quickly realized that this man may be cut off from his children.
Oh yeah, you will be cut off from your children.
For life, that he doesn't even see them. And for most men, your children are, this
Your life.
This is your life. This is like the man you are. Your family is your inheritance. Everything that you struggle for and you toil for is there. And now everything is ruined. So it's a grave consequence that go with this situation. So if you find yourself in such a situation, it may be that it's hereditary. Not hereditary.
You learned it.
Maybe that is a bad learned behavior and all that. You need to man up and seek help.
Need to man up and seek help.
Mm-hmm. That is you saying, I am a real man. When you can recognize that I don't have to do. Yeah, this is my weakness. This is a bad behavior, and I don't want to lose everything that I've worked hard all my life. You went to secondary school, you went to university, you got a job, all building up to this moment where you got married, up to this moment where you have children. You don't want to lose everything. Throw it out. Throw it away like that. It's time for you to rise up and begin to seek help.
And viewers, guys, let me say this. It's not worth it. I know that some people are saying, I brought her from Africa, I sent her to school, I did all these things, I suffered, now she's making money, I am trash. Now she's making money, she wants to run all over me. No, it's not worth it. You don't have to be married. Marriage is by choice. Even if you made all those investments, you got your kids, you got your life. People who have continued on that trajectory, they end up in jail. Guess what? Either the woman is dead, and your children are homeless, and fatherless, and motherless, or she's alive, and you're in jail. And guess what? She's not bringing those kids to come and see you in jail.
She's not.
So you lose both ways. So at some point, you're going to have to cut your losses and say, look, yeah, I went and married her. Yeah, I sent her to school. I worked 2 jobs, sent her to school. Yeah, the court gave her custody of my children. The court gave her the house and all that I made since I've been in the U.S. I lost all those things. But guess what? You are still alive.
That's right.
The God that gave you the strength to make those things, He will give you the strength to replace them.
Yes.
It's not worth going to jail for life.
And there is hope for anyone who is alive.
And as long as you are alive, you got your children.
Yeah.
You may lose her, but your children will be connected with. You got your life. You can remarry. You can live your life. You can rebuild. And the good thing with America is that it takes 3 years. The experts say that you can turn your life around every 3 years. So whatever you've lost, you can rebuild it in 3 years. You don't have to go to jail. And I wish I have time. I will tell you stories upon stories of those who have killed their wives, those who have harmed their wife, that ended up in jail. A lot of them got life. A lot of them got death sentence. When you have life, you're spending 20 years, 30 years in jail. When you come out, you're done. The woman has moved on. Your children have moved on. So you are the loser. It's not worth it. There is help out there. If you're one of those and you want to talk to someone, our number is on the screen. You can call and talk to me. I'll teach you. I will share with you. I will teach you skills on how to manage those situations. Before you call your lawyer, because by the time you call your lawyer, you're going to court and it's over. Call this number. Your goal is to rehabilitate your family. And I tell you, most women really don't want to break their family. Most women want to keep their family intact. So a little skill, a little knowledge may be what you need to turn things around.
But you know what? As you talked about the person, the murder their wife, and then they go to jail. You know what I mean? And they're given life sentence. But there is another sentence
Life.
that is not given by the judge that we see. But that sentence is one that is in you. You've already sentenced yourself when you take another person's life.
Mm-hmm.
You did not make that life, and you were not supposed to take that life. You're supposed to preserve that life. You will live with that conscience all your life, even when the person, if they ever make it out of jail. That fact that I murdered this person is an internal prison that person will
Live with for the rest of your life.
So, like we keep saying, we said before, we say again, it is not, none of this is worth it.
Not the money.
None of this. If you decide that your wife is useless, you know what to do. Yes. And if you feel like you can now bring her to be useful, you just went and married a useless person. I don't know how useful or how smart you are to go and marry a useless wife. But if you decided that she's useless, you need to send her away instead of murdering her. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Instead of murdering
Yeah,
her,
instead
or
of murdering her, you need to, you know what to do. You know what to do. We're not going to encourage you to be doing certain things. Try to rehabilitate your home. But for whatever means, you need to try to preserve the life of your spouse. Whether it's the woman doing this or it's the man doing this. Preservation of life is what we're saying. Preserve, preserve, preserve. Every life is precious before their maker.
mm-hmm. Every life is precious, and you need to preserve the future of your children, because I thought that's where you were going. The other people that are also sentenced to life without mother, without father. In other words, a life of motherlessness, of fatherlessness. When those things happen, are the children. I have presided, I've handled a case where the man went to jail. The woman was not killed, but was maimed, became disabled as a result of the incident that happened. And both of them, the children, went from living in a big house, living good life, to living in penury. They went to Star of Hope. From that place, of course, they went to apartment, because that's what the breadwinner is in jail. So the children the mom can't afford to live that life, so she had to get an apartment. She had to learn a skill. Their life was turned upside down by one incident. It could have been saved. It could have been avoided. So if you're going through this, you can call the number on the screen, and we will intervene. We will intervene and give you some skills that you will use to manage your life and manage your anger, manage some of the things that are bothering you, because we know that these things are real. It hurts that when you've worked with someone, and if you're a guy, for over a year you've invested with an expectation, and the expectation is gone. But nothing justifies killing anybody. Mm-hmm. Nothing justifies killing anybody. Nothing justifies even getting into altercation.
Yeah.
Nothing justifies any of that. If you're not happy, and that's why we live in a country where marriage is a choice. And nobody's forced to stay married. If you're not happy, move on. You go downtown, you file it. It is far better than staying to kill someone. It is a lot far. Or if you don't want to go that far, just separate. Go find an apartment. Live in an apartment and move on with your life. So that's what we advise that we do. But we also know that if you're a guy, and that's why we're providing this number, we know that for the ladies, there are a lot of help out there. If you really Google it, how do you help someone who is in domestic? There are a lot of help for victims. There's no help, virtually no help for those who are perpetrating it. And a lot of those people are also victims because they learned it from their father, because they can't manage their own anger. There are things in them that they cannot manage. Viewers, we are beginning to round up. It's been a very, very touching episode, a very rich episode.
Very sobering.
But we hope.
Before we cut it, I just wanted to say that anger rests in the bosom of fools.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the scripture says. You cannot judge yourself as a fool. You're not a fool. You're a very smart person. You're a very wise person. You're hardworking. You want to provide for your children and your family. So don't allow yourself to go in the way of anger.
Yes.
Yeah. I wanted to throw that in.
Don't let anger ruin your life.
Yes.
There is help.
Mm-hmm.
Viewers, that's all that we have. We'll be wrapping it up now. Remember, this is the final of 4 episodes on domestic violence. If you need the episode 1, 2, and 3, you can request for it. We have the email, we have our number on the screen, and we'll work with you to see how you get it. It's been a good time. From me, it's goodbye.
And from me, we want to thank you and appreciate you for viewing. It'll be next time.
Next time, viewers. We've been talking about domestic violence in our community. If you or anyone that you know is going through domestic violence, is a victim, or even if you are having problem controlling yourself, call this number on the screen. There is help around. Don't wait until things escalate before you call. Call this number and we'll be able to help you manage the situation. God bless you.